This is About That Business, hosted by Rom Wills, author, speaker, and entrepreneur. Sit back and enjoy.
Greetings, fam. Today I'm going to talk about the education system will have to change. Yeah, check this out, right? Check this out, because I've been talking about, the retail system going down. I mean, it's not going to go down totally. I mean, it's still going to be some retail shops out there, even with the one line. People still want to get out there, and the food sector, that's part of it too. But this is about the whole education system. See, understand the education system in Western culture. Since most of the people coming to this channel will, be in Western culture, and particularly the United States. And if you really look at the education system, it's really to train people or kids to be good workers. If you really look at it, to be regimented. Now, you have some kids who go further through college and everything to get more specialized, and then maybe grad school to get more specialized. But if you really look at it, the whole education system as a whole is to create better worker bees. But there's a problem, when we start throwing in the decline of retail, or the shrinkage. I'm going to say the shrinkage. It's not going to go away. But I'll say the shrinkage of retail, and then you throw in automation, which is putting people out of work. In order to deal with this, you're going to need more entrepreneurs. You're going to need more skilled people. You're going to need people not only who have specialized skills, but are able to maybe work on their own. The education system can't be a mass thing where people are just learning what they learn. It's going to have to change. It's going to have to change and adapt to the coming future. Now, I know there's some places, they get more into computers and, IT and all of that. In many schools, especially if they have the resources, the kids will all have laptops and everything. But it's going to have to really look at the skills. What are we really teaching? Like most of them, I'm going to be honest, just looking at my son's classes, most of that is useless almost all of it is useless to what he wants to do in life. It's just basically propaganda. There's a bunch of stuff he'll never use. Like, I remember one of my mentors, and this dude is pretty much a genius, right? And he was talking about how he took, when he was in college, he took a complicated calculus course. And then after, and he did well on it, got A's and everything. And he was like, I've never used anything from that course since then. Or even what I do now, right? What I do now, it was very little of what I've done now had anything to do with any of my formal classes. I mean, for what I do now, one class was important, and then one activity was important. The important class was public speaking. That was the important class. Maybe a couple English classes for writing. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, because the activity was being in drama club and being able to be in front of people, like on a practical basis. That actually did more for me, and just knowing the process of how like plays and stuff were written and skits and stuff were written. Because that's what, when I was in high school, that's mainly, that was a big part of what we did with Drama Club. We would put on like a show every Christmas, kind of like a Saturday Night Live with some Christmas themes and stuff, right? And that helped me more with writing than anything else. All the classes I got, I had very good education, learned a lot. But if I really look at the way I make money now, I didn't really need most of what I've taken. A lot of it was just information. I can incorporate that stuff. I can talk about the stuff. But really, I would have been better off with a class on how to work a sound equipment, cameras, and stuff like that. And so what has to happen, I believe, the education, we have to really, I think, take kids from when they're young and try to get a idea about their talents, and then be more creative in what we teach children. Everybody, I know they basically need, it used to be the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Yeah, I know, arithmetic. But, past being able to count money, right? Because it's amazing, because I'm like, I haven't used algebra in my life or anything. And I think they're getting that in a way, because they don't even teach, they really don't teach cursive anymore or anything. But, people need definitely reading. That's very important. That's very important. Yeah, other than reading, being able to do basic math, which is basically be able to count your money. And really, it should be writing too, but, with the advent of the internet and 140 characters per statement, a lot of people can't do that. I hate to say this about my son, but he can actually type better than he can actually write. I was like, wow. And, but I think what has to happen is we need to really, instead of, a lot of children in the system are warehoused, and, even all the way, sometimes even throughout college. They just there. You get a lot of people who go to college, they spend all that money on student loans and everything, and then they come out and do something totally unrelated to what they got their degree in. The education system needs to be geared towards people's talents. It needs to try to assess. And, you can get child psychologists, veteran teachers. People can look at somebody at a young age and say, okay, this is what they can do. And it doesn't have to be where they like a kid is forced to be on a certain track, but it can try to get an idea, what are they talented at? It could, and believe that could actually create more jobs. That would actually need, because something like that would probably require more teachers. We're talking all this stuff about automation and everything. Education will be a big thing. Education, re-education, because we're not just talking about the kids, because I've seen some stuff about, with the driverless cars and driverless trucks, all these truck drivers will be out of business. They'll need to be re-educated. They'll need to learn stuff, and then you're going to need people to teach them. Even though there's some argument you could teach them through, they can automate that. But still, if people really want to learn something, they need to learn from a person who can give them some objective and subjective feedback, or somebody who can work with a person's particular skills and a person's particular skill level. All right. But it's going to have to change. It's going to have to really train people. This system is, it's kind of funny to me, right? People will spend thousands of dollars. They'll go through grade school. They'll go through maybe a college preparatory school like I did. Go to college, go to grad school, all of that. And then come out and do something totally unrelated to anything they actually learned and paid for. My thing is, change it so they can actually learn that. Like my son, he just wants to design video games. Maybe somebody could come up with something and say, hold up, you got a lot of kids who are interested in that. Develop some curriculum, show them how to do basics. He can already do some basic programming, but, a teenager, you got to kind of stay on them to deal with stuff. But, and it's ironic that programming that he learned and was able to do, and the basic stuff, he didn't learn it in school. He just did, went through an online academy, like one of those free academies, free online course. So, but it's interesting, it's interesting that he might make his living through stuff that has nothing to do with his schooling. But then at the same time, it'll probably be some pushback to that, because then if people actually did some stuff that was related to just their profession. First of all, someone really, in many cases, people would need 4 years of college. So many of these colleges would definitely push back against that unless they wanted to be the ones to teach something. I mean, you would just need the college. In fact, I'm going to tell you, other than medical school, and maybe business, certain businesses, which I'm not sure about, but other than medical school, there's a lot of stuff you can get into without even taking that particular thing in college. Like law schools. It helps you taking some pre-law courses or something, but there's people who've done stuff totally unrelated to law or something, and they just went to law school. You got quite a few doctors and nurses who have law degrees, right? And I know that's a little bit of a tangent, but my whole point is the whole education system is going to have to change up just to adapt to the future. And it needs to be more, people need to focus more on what they're going to do. So, anyway, right? Something to think about. Let's go out there and make that money.